Assalamu alaikum. This is Noor and you're listening to the first edition of Views Letter. There's a backlog of reviews that I hope to share with all of you in the coming weeks on a regular basis. Hopefully, fingers crossed, per week. I'm excited about that. But for this hour, I'll talk about the coverage on the Karen Read case, closure of the Soompi Forum, Chinese drama that is not based on a book, Legend of Zhang He, as well as the 2024 Netflix adaptation of Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 1967 magnum opus, 100 Years of Solitude. And I'll recommend a few books worth reading this June. I hope you'll watch the videos and share your views and recommendations in the comment section below. So, regarding the Karen Read media circus, where should one start? For those of you who don't know, I'll share trial links below so that you can familiarize yourselves with the phenomena. But to cut a long convoluted incident short, Read is accused of killing her boyfriend John O'Keefe in a drunken rage after one night of bar hopping. Her boyfriend was a cop who was raising his niece and nephew, and that night they were with a group of common friends. These included Jen McCabe and her husband, McCabe's sister and brother-in-law Brian Albert, also a cop, Brian Higgins, an ATF agent who was a love interest of Karen's, and other couples. After this bar hopping, John O'Keefe and Read get invited at 34 Fairview Road to celebrate their son's birthday with them. A few hours later, John O'Keefe was found near death outside their 34 Fairview house under 3 feet of snow, with an injury on the back of his head and advanced stage of hypothermia. He died at the hospital. Read and her defense team have alleged that she merely dropped him off outside Fairview House and saw him enter the house. She has maintained something must have happened inside the house, mainly the basement or the garage, a drunken brawl between Higgins, the love interest, and O'Keefe, with Chloe the family dog attacking O'Keefe as well. Her defense is a wide law enforcement conspiracy to protect Albert family and Higgins and pin it on her instead. Her conspiracy includes shady and biased first responders, desk duty officers, corrupt sheriff, detectives and investigators who planted evidence against her, and the family, friends, acquaintances and colleagues of McCabe, Albert clan and Higgins. She's banking on the blue wall of silence and all that it entails. She's banking on envy and jealousy against the successful Albert brothers, who are 6 in number, and all are well placed and well connected. She's also banking on a number of alternate theories on what may have led to John O'Keefe's death, which include an accidental fall. She has a lot of supporters in Boston and rest of US. Some say it's a well-funded campaign. Some say it's genuine support born out of distrust of police and the Albert family's power and influence in Canton area of Boston, where the incident occurred. Her first trial last year that I watched and followed ended in a mistrial by way of hung jury. That trial was a shit show for the prosecution because of the inept and mumbling lead prosecutor Adam Lally and the way he tried the case, by calling each witness not essential to prove the elements of the crime, but rather to defend Commonwealth's case against Karen Read. He gave defense the opportunity to plant seeds of doubt in their biting and flamboyant crosses. So everyone unnecessary and inconsequential was brought on stand to answer how they conducted themselves and whether they had anything to do with a quote-unquote conspiracy or not, or were biased or not. This kind of case-in-chief allowed the defense lawyers, Yannetti and especially Alan Jackson, to shine and make good TV, since the trial and all the hearings were televised live. I still remember Yannetti's "Karen Read was framed" opening statement and Jackson's pirouette to describe a sweating, melting Trooper Paul's accident reconstruction theory. Their crosses raised reasonable doubt, The police had been lackadaisical by not even taping or securing the area where John O'Keefe's body was found. The fact that no one came out of the house to check on the commotion being made by Reed, ambulance and cop cars outside. That inverted Sally Port video. Those C-word messages from the lead investigator. Those unexplained butt dials and destruction of mobile phones on military bases. And the infamous horse long to die in the cold. Plus the fact that not a single person saw John O'Keefe lying in the front yard near the flagpole in the dead of night. All of it created reasonable doubt. Maybe it was smoke and mirrors, but it did put the prosecution on the defensive, and the science was hard to follow, in the manner in which Adam Lally put it forth. It's nothing short of a miracle that the jury didn't acquit Karen Reed totally, or convict her on just one of the lesser includeds of all charges, which would have been maximum sentence of months or so. Currently the case is in retrial. There should ideally be a verdict. There are plenty of things to note about the retrial. Hank Brennan is the new lead prosecutor, and he is surgical and precise in the way he has presented the case and questioned the witnesses. So much so that on day 29, when he made a blunder on asking about holes at the back of John O'Keefe's sweatshirt, an outright lie, it made me sit up and think why he would make such an obvious mistake or intentionally mislead the jury. Because he has been rock solid in his presentation and clinical in his crosses so far. Despite the added theatrics, I believe defense made a mistake by bringing Bob Alessi as a regular for the retrial. He was brought in specifically to make arguments for the defense in the Rule 14 violation drama that played out in March and April of this year, which could have led to sanctions and even removal of Alan Jackson from the case. But Alessi has been retained even after passing that hurdle. A corporate expert attorney from New York, that is Alessi, has been given the task of being the face of this retrial. It's a crazy decision, more so because Alessi is not a criminal defense lawyer, has no real murder trial experience, and is off-putting in his arguments and questioning. He takes forever to get to the point. He's always gunning for a Perry Mason or Matlock moment. His cross with prosecution's accident reconstructionist, Dr. Welcher, versus Brennan's cross with defense's accident reconstructionists DeSorga and Arca's Dr. Wolf is a lesson on how to lose or gain a jury's attention and how to get your point across in a day versus an hour. I don't know how you go back from that 24 miles per hour reconstruction that Arca did that proves Commonwealth's case against Karen Reed. Defense has thrown a lot of balls in the air hoping that at least one juror catches one of them. To date in this retrial, these include a biased lead investigator Trooper Proctor who planted evidence against Reed with his team. An accidental fall, absence of injuries, meaning absence of collision with car, the scratches on the arm made by Chloe the dog, not by a broken tail light or shrubs near flagpole or scavengers at night. Jen McCabe as mastermind of a cover-up, the fishy timeline, the temperature drop on John O'Keefe's cell and phone, not because of being injured and lying in snow for 4 or 5 hours, but because he was beaten up in the garage, where the temperature would have been lower than in the house or the basement. However, nothing has really stuck or proven or explained by the defense so far. Their random and colorful witnesses seem like a distraction. Brennan is the face of the prosecution's case, while Reed is sitting with 4 high-priced lawyers, and the least interesting and most boring of these 4 has done most of the cross, without expertise as a criminal defense attorney or a clear defense strategy. Alan Jackson's questions are unnecessarily aggressive that border on bullying. Plus, he's busy cooking fundraisers for legal fees or seen grocery shopping with Reed. This time around, defense is looking more like a horse and pony show, a bit ridiculous, far-fetched, and slimy in character and conduct. Jackson is looking redder by the day, as opposed to the in control of the narrative, dynamic razzmatazz defense team seen last year. And then there's Karen Read herself, a smart, beautiful, well-groomed, well-educated, fit-figured white woman from upper-class background who is in the fight of her life. Her cause célèbre is that she looks like an every woman. She could be you, she could be me, who is allegedly fighting an unjust system that is protecting corrupt cops and a corrupt family. That's how Vanity Fair reported on her. That's what her fans see in her. They hug her, give her gifts, shout out her name, stand for an entire day outside courthouse just to support her, and boo the O'Keefe family. It doesn't matter that she looks like the happiest person to ever be charged with second-degree murder. She cannot help smirking, smiling, joking, and being generally condescending towards prosecution witnesses in interviews done on the sidewalk, for documentaries, and through demeanor in the courtroom. Maybe she's been coached by her defense team to show confidence by being cavalier about evidence against her, even though she's toned down the body language considerably for the retrial. But still, she and her lawyers make a huge display of mocking prosecution's witnesses during direct examination, disrespecting the process by talking between themselves, and she keeps checking her phone or placing her laptop in view of the jury, or generally smiling back at her family. I don't know, maybe it's all to distract the jury or make them think the evidence against her is nonsensical, but surely she and her team are playing to the gallery, the media gallery, and the YouTube and TV audience. I have no idea what the jury makes of her frequent outbursts to Alessi, Jackson, and Yannetti, telling them what to ask and which evidence to talk about. To me, by doing so, she looks unhinged, and the lawyers look unprofessional. Those interviews she gave to documentaries and Vanity Fair to taint the jury pool may be backfiring in retrial. That HBO documentary A Body in the Snow, portions of which can be seen on Investigation Discovery YouTube channel, optioned as a victory lap, may be a gauntlet for her. In it, she's unlikable, insufferable, full of herself, and lacking in empathy, especially in the way she recounts what Peggy O'Keefe, John O'Keefe's mother, said to her on the morning that he was found dead. The ugly animated way in which Read makes faces with complete disregard for a grieving mother and how bad it would look on TV is fantastical to me. But she need not worry, not even now when it looks like her defense case is up in flames. Her conviction on top charge, second-degree murder, may not happen even now, after all this effort and time and precision by Brennan. Because after watching a few trials on Court TV, Law and Crime Network, and Law and Trials YouTube channels, my impression is that women, and especially white women, get less harsh sentences than men on similar charges. Look at how much time Michelle Troconis got in the Jennifer Dulos case, and how much time Victoria Goodwin will get to serve for murder-for-hire plot against Ghost Adventures husband Aaron Goodwin. This is just my opinion, which is not based on any fact or statistic. It's just an observation. Women and white women get off serious charges with lighter convictions and smaller sentences. Maybe Karen Read's youthful persona, polished look, and demure walk to frequent sidebars will resonate with the jury, as well as her elite-looking, sharply dressed parents and brother, as opposed to the average Joe all-American dressing by John O'Keefe's family and friends. Class is a factor, maybe a subconscious factor to note in this trial. Posh people don't do rustic crimes, do they? Even Lucky the plow driver took the stand for the defense in a suit and contact lenses in this retrial instead of shirt and pants and glasses in the previous trial. A major change by the prosecution has been streamlining the case as per the evidence. hence bringing down the total number of witnesses. Trooper Paul is out, Dr. Welcher is in. The absence of lead investigator former Trooper Proctor is a gamble. Jen McCabe's makeover, which included change in how she gave her testimony, not just a visual softening of makeup, hair and clothes, stood out, as did Sergeant Buchanan's emotive reading of text messages between Higgins and Reed. But Alan Jackson was unable to make Jen McCabe's testimony controversial this time around, as he did in the previous trial, and Alessi did his best against Sergeant Buchanan, but how much would it really land is up in the air. Another change in the retrial is the backbenching of O'Keefe's sole surviving sibling brother, who used to sit in front of where Reed sat in the first trial, and used to glare at her constantly, a look that bordered on visual harassment. Most probably the Brennan team has told him to sit at the back to not put off the female jurors. As to the jury, this time around it is being said that most of the jury is young, female, some fresh out of college, some of color. So the chances of Reed's conviction on vehicular manslaughter and lesser includeds, like leaving the scene of an accident, is more likely than murder too. That is, if you don't believe it was just an accidental fall after Reed had clipped him and already left the scene, and he just happened to lose his footing on the hard, probably slippery surface. In my view, murder too has been proven by showing intent to cause injury and bodily harm when Reed allegedly put her 6,000-pound car in reverse for 86 feet at 24 miles per hour with 70 to 75% throttle without pulling brakes even once, and then not going back to check on him when she didn't get a reply for 2 to 4 hours. The jury may give her the benefit of doubt given her drunken state. If they really want to split hairs, though, they should consider the so-called cover-up when she consciously backed up her vehicle to O'Keefe's car the next morning to create an alibi for her broken taillight. She knew where to find him the next day, in the still dark, blizzard-heavy early hours, not in the house, but rather the area near the flagpole where she had dropped him or hit him. And that's her own admission in an interview. Brian Albert and Brian Higgins may very well have plenty of things to hide in their professional or personal lives, since they got rid of their phones and Albert did not come out of his house to check on the ambulance and police outside his house the next morning, and later on sold the house at an underpriced value and rehomed Chloe the dog. And the investigators were unable to find any ring camera or any other kind of camera that would show the road. It all looks suspicious, doesn't it? But if FBI didn't find anything wrong in their conduct that night, why should the jury? Some have called the party attendees swingers. Maybe Canton locals are jealous or envious of the 6 Albert brothers and see this as an opportunity to vent against them. But the manner in which so many lives have been disrupted and impacted by Reed's defense team's strategy to accuse everyone under the sun and bully them through bloggers and YouTubers, my God, has been crazy to witness. Even Judge Canoni has not been spared. Maybe the jury is full of FKRs, that is, members of the Free Karen Reed movement, and they will set her free on all charges. Or one stealth juror, an FKR supporter, may just hang the jury once again. Or the jury may just turn out to be more like Ronald Estanislao, the attention-seeking juror from the last trial, who says 9 out of 12 wanted to convict Reed of lesser includeds in vehicular manslaughter charge, and the 12 couldn't agree even on that. In any case, we'll know what the verdict is when the jury gets the case. Summer holidays are just around the corner, and the jury will want to get out of this 7 going on 8 weeks DUI hit-and-run trial sooner rather than later. Till there's a verdict, I'm leaving all of you with the poll results of an online survey done by Code TV. I hope you'll share your thoughts on the case too.